application. You want to run MS Word, you take it from the cloud. You want to store some things, you put it on the cloud. You want to get some other infrastructural requirement, you want computational requirement, software support, you go to the cloud. So this is, cloud is nothing but a basically the backbone of the cloud is also a distributed network. I also told you in the last class that parallel computing is basically a type of distributed computing. My reckoning is that distributed computing is the probably the superset, and parallel computing is a subset of the distributed computing. Now, I also told you that there are many advantages of distributed systems. You can have a nice sharing of resources. You can, like the cloud is there, you don't have to have big servers, you don't have to have big costly hardware, you don't have to have high end processors, you don't have to buy storage. You can just go to the cloud and take it as and when you require. You need to just subscribe, like you are subscribing to a cable connection. So the distributed system has an advantage that there is a lot of resource sharing. You're having a client server mechanism by which you are able to just take it from the client can just approach the server and just take it as and when it required. The distributed systems are open, more and more computers can easily join. It's easy for them to join. They may be from different hardware, different configuration, but they are easily able to seamlessly join the distributed network. There is a lot of parallel processing, concurrency in a distributed system. You are able to work in parallel. You are able to scale, meaning that you can go on adding and adding resources. If you recall, I told you, imagine big networks like Facebook, 2.6 billion people, YouTube, 2 billion people, Twitter, 1.5 billion users. These are all massive, communities of users. And if there was no scalability factor, these things would not be available today. Because of the scalability factor only, the big networks like Facebook or YouTube or LinkedIn are able to survive. Then I also told you fault tolerance. If there is a problem, a fault in somewhere in the distributed network, that's fine. The network will go on. And if one node is out, it doesn't really matter. The work is distributed to other nodes and so on, and it is transparency. I also told you that if necessary, basically all the distributed systems are autonomous. Each computer is actually autonomous. If they want, they can exist independently, but they are all formed of a network. And I also told you there can be multiple points of control, multiple points of failure in a distributed system. We can also restrict accesses. You can decide, okay, these people do not need a printer, these people need an internet connection, these people need a social media. So you are able to restrict the components, you are able to restrict the resources also in a distributed system. And finally, there is no global clock. All these systems work in their own steam, in their own clock. There is no global clock that synchronizes any of these activities. So these are the basic common characteristics and the special characteristics of distributed systems. Today we will see the transparencies. I told you that one of the major things about the distributed system is that they have a lot of transparencies. Let us quickly see some of the transparencies that are available in a distributed system. Access transparency. So anybody can and everybody can access the resource. You can access it. If it is available for you, you can just access it. It is available in some location. You need not know their IP address. It is available in the network. Anybody and everybody, if you can see it, you can access it. You do not need to know the IP address or like that. You can just go and collect the resources. So that is access and location transparency. Then there is concurrency. Many activities are happening in parallel, right? Many processes are operating concurrently with using shared resources. They are all rather independently working. I do not need to know what you are doing. Well, I don't know. Everybody is working in parallel. But there are some conflicts that may happen in this way. We probably saw in distributed systems, in operating systems, about deadlocks and so on. Those things are still there. Replication transparency. A resource can have multiple instances and people can replicate it. The users can replicate it as and when they require. Failure transparency. If some part of the network is failed, it's fine. You need not know about that. You can continue to work in the distributed system. If one node is switched off also, it doesn't matter. Automatically there is a reconfiguration happening and the network works even though one node is out or something like that. It doesn't matter. That is the failure transparency. Mobility transparency. Resources and clients can be moved, can move without can move in the network. Within a network there is a possibility of movement also. There is a possibility of scalability. You can add more people also to the network. It doesn't matter. And the performance is such that even if one network, one node is off, it doesn't matter. The network will still function. Even if two nodes go off, it doesn't matter. The network will function. And the network always tries to balance the load so as to speak. So if there are 100 computers or 1000 computers, the load, there is definitely some logic and algorithm to do a load balancing. Even though they are kind of autonomous and independent, they are working in some sort of harmony, right? So that kind of thing is always there. So this is the transparency that comes because of a distributed network. Access transparency, accessing resources. Location transparency. If you can see that resource, you can access it. You need not know to know the story of that resource. Concurrency, people working in parallel. Scalability, more people added. Replication, more copies and instances of resources are being created. Failure and performance, even if something fails, it doesn't matter, the network carries on. Mobility, you can freely move within the network. So these are the transparencies that come through the distributed system. This is a very important characteristic of distributed systems, in addition to the other characteristics like sharing of resources, openness, concurrency, scalability, and fault tolerance. But I also want to stress upon the fact that these advantages or characteristics can also be disadvantages or challenges. I'll tell you why. If a node is out of the network, there somebody is switching off, automatically there needs to be algorithms and processes such that the network reconfigures. That node is removed and the other nodes take on the work. So that is a challenge. Same way, when you are having concurrency, there is a possibility of conflict. We saw in operating systems about deadlocks. How a deadlock, two people are accessing the same resource. And if there is a starvation or there, we saw many things there, I am waiting, you are waiting. He is waiting, I am waiting. And both of us are waiting forever. These kind of deadlocks can also happen. So these common characteristics can also be challenges, but that we will see in the later classes. Now, how is the distributed systems enabled? The enablement happens through through multiprocessors and multi-cores. Multiprocessor means process more than one processor. Multi-core means in one processor there are two cores. They function as though they are separate processors. Then there is a client server application, the server and the client. The cloud is just the same thing. Only thing, the cloud is the server. That's the only difference. The server gives all the resources to the client. LAN, WAN, MAN, all these things are the hardware that enable the distributed system and thereby enable the internet also. Now in software, there is an important thing. One, the operating system has to function as though it has to work within a network, number one. Number two, the operating system also needs to work in a distributed fashion. This is a very important enabler of distributed systems. Operating system should work for multi-user. Operating system should use for a network where all these multi-users are connected to each other. This is a very important aspect of a distributed system. You can't take a operating system meant for your laptop. That is a single user operating system. You cannot do that. You need to have a network operating system, a version of the operating system whereby multi-users can be handled, as also they can function in a distributed fashion. Now, there is a very important thing that enables the data, the distributed system, which is known as the middleware. We'll see the middleware. Now, the middleware is something that is a layer on top of the network operating system. Normally, middleware, the common middlewares that we have are Corba, which primarily comes common object request broker, Corba. I believe Corba is mostly used by Microsoft applications, Java, is to some extent Java and so on. Java remote method invocation, RMI is one middleware. Genie, another Java variant of a middleware is there. So what does this middleware do? Now, I told you now the operating system has to be distributed. The operating system has to be working in a network. So you have applications. The applications could be MS Word, MS Teams, it could be Oracle and so on. And you have an operating system. You have many users, maybe. You have the hardware. You have the computer hardware. So we already learned that the operating system is the bridge between the applications and the hardware. We have already learned that 1 year back in the other course. Now, this operating system is the bridge between the application and the network, computer hardware. Middleware is something that lies between the application, the service, and the users and the operating system. This middleware ensures that there is a parallel and distributed operations and a sharing of resources that way. And generally between the operating system and the applications or the users, there are some middleware layers. They could be Java, RMI, remote method invocation, it could be Genie, it could be Corba, it could be RPC, and there are some layers that will be there, which we will see in detail. There are some layers within the, so the middleware is something that lies between the operating system and the application. We have already seen that what the operating system is, it is a bridge or an interface between the user, that is you, and the hardware. Similarly, the middleware is a bridge or an interface lying between the operating system and the application. So this is what I wanted to convey. And yeah, nowadays distributed systems have become have grown in numbers, have expanded beyond a lot of this thing. There are today latest distributed systems are huge. They have multiple, they have different types of hardware, different types of software, different architectures, different topologies. All this can be easily integrated. That is a state now. You can have high heterogeneity, high variation in the resources, high openness in the sense that any type of hardware, any type of software, any standard, any application, any platform can be seamlessly integrated into a distributed system, and you also get high quality of service. But the earlier distributed systems were fundamental, basic, not so open, and not having very high quality of service. The last slide that I want to cover is the challenges. I told you many of the advantages of the operating system are also its challenges. Openness is a huge advantage of a distributed system. Anybody can join. It can be heterogeneous. It can be different hardware, different platform, different software, different user. So obviously that also becomes a challenge, that you need to integrate different types of users, different types of hardware, different types of platforms, and you need to have that kind of middleware to manage all this. Likewise, scalability. When you go on increasing the number of computers, the complexity increases. What will happen if one of them fails? How will the network reconfigure itself? How will it handle mobile code? How will it handle security applications? So many security threats will be there. So many of the basic advantages of the distributed system also become the challenges. The challenge of openness and the advantages of openness. The challenge of middleware and the advantage of middleware. Middleware is bridging. The challenge of heterogeneity, different types of hardware. The challenge of scalability, more and more computers join. Then what happens if somebody fails? That kind of failure handling. And finally, the security. So many of the advantages of the distributed system are also major challenges, and there is a lot of research trying to address these challenges, having better algorithms to distribute the work, better middleware, better scalable solutions, better fault management solutions, better security applications, and so on. So these are nothing but the advantages of the challenges, so as to speak, of a distributed system. So we'll close for today. Just answer your attendance. Abhilash, Akash, Amit. Okay. Brijesh, Chamruta, Dharinish.